Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another Love Wisdom message video. This week's message is very important that I've been guided to share with you, and it's something that I have been myself learning and being reminded of the importance of having love boundaries. I call it love boundaries, but what it really is, maintaining those healthy boundaries in your life. So I wish to share some more about that in this video. First of all, Monica Bermudez. I'm an intuitive energy healer as well as a love and joy coach. And I want to relay this very important message as a reminder for all of us of the importance of it, because when we spend so much of our time not being able to say no or giving away our own energy and efforts, we're giving away our power to someone else. And so it is important to know how to set those very important love boundaries in our life. So I wish to share some three practical ways of doing that. But before jumping in, I just want to explain what boundaries means to me. Now, I look at things mostly in an energetic way, and based on how I feel the energy moving in the collective level as well as in my individual level, and how the astrological events that we are experiencing for 2021 as well has a huge influence on us. We are at the tail end of Mercury retrograde, and this week has been quite an initiatic way of us jumping into the next level of what we come to do here on Earth, as we're getting ourselves ready for this next full moon cycle next week. And so we are being pushed and into this energy of this new us, this new birthing of us, and going into this intense tunnel of initiation to jump into the next level. So boundary to me, first of all, it just means that to me it is creating a sacred space and keeping your own peace and your own balance, and that balance being within your own heart. So because we live on this earth, there's a lot of duality that we still have to manage around us. Duality being the shadow and being the light. And so there is a balance of the two, because the shadow is really the fuel for that light in us to shine brighter. It's like polishing the diamond and making it a brighter diamond in us, becoming the brighter stars. And so when we are still within our own human form and our physical form, this is part of the lessons that we come to learn here on Earth, and the challenges that we face with each other in relationships, and how we deal with each other, and we mirror each other in that way. And so as such, we can trigger each other and pull out certain patterns in us that needed to come out, needed to be worked out, and needed to be acknowledged and become aware. So of course, when that happens, that is very important that you take the natural self-care and self-love that you need, and being gentle with yourself. So we are definitely in a very delicate space of complexity, because humans themselves, us being human, it's a very complex matter. There's so many layers of patterns of karmic and ancestral just pull up certain layers. Just when you think you may have healed a layer, there's another layer that may be way underneath the other one, and will just resurface at some point when it could reach that certain boiling point of something that gets triggered. Now, that being said, each of us plays a role here on Earth. And based on those triggerings, it also helps in our healing process as well, in what we're going through. In our healing process, to become aware of it, to acknowledge it, and transmute it into the gold that we are. So let's jump into these three very sacred, practical boundary settings with love. Of course, all of these are set with love and gentleness, not to be combative, not to be violent, not to be reactionary, and of course, we're still human, but remember that, we have to maintain our balance within our own heart itself. So number one, we want to, first of all, is very important, and this is a very, part aspect of the self-love, is to know your own worth. And based on your own worth of knowing of, your own value, and, setting your own esteem for yourself, based on your own self-love, you can start to create those boundaries where you feel that it will push you over the edge or take you out of balance from this boundary, that you need to create that space for yourself that makes you feel at peace and makes you feel balanced. And so knowing that, you need when to take that time for your own self-care, your self-love, listening to your own intuition, to what feels right for you at the moment, right? And just being kind and gentle to yourself, embracing that uniqueness in yourself, and honoring the sensitivity in yourself as well, because being sensitive is also powerful. It's actually very powerful, because you feel the energies and the intensity of the energies. And so, as I mentioned, that is, why I talk a lot about energies, because I know that we are mostly made of energy. And so, of course, we all have our own intuition and our own way of sensing certain energies in our lives that don't feel good in us, and that we need to go in a different direction that is in our divine calling and our divine paths. So that is number one, is to first of all know your own worth, and based on that worth, just be able to create the sacred space of this boundary of what will keep you in that place of balance and peace. Now the second one is voicing it, so speaking it. So as I mentioned, we are in the end of Mercury retrograde, and Mercury is the planet of communication. So when it is in retrograde, it's in reverse, meaning that we are going within our own self and communicating with ourselves and being honest with ourselves about anything that comes up. But in this sense, now that we have created within that space of being in the retrograde for number one, now we are at the second step, being able to voice ourselves and speak from our heart, speak with authenticity, and speak with love, and, saying what those boundaries are and what is that's coming up for you, and saying when it's time for you to take a break, when it's time for you to take that self-care and self-love for yourself, and being able to voice it in a way that is very peaceful and loving to someone else, right? When you're voicing it out externally. So now that you've done some of the inner work with a retrograde planet, this of course goes for any time, any period of time that you could go through certain cycles of going inwardly to identify, being number one, creating. And then number two, voicing it out to others, and using your divine voice of communication to express it. And so even if, the other may resist or sound, combative in some way on it, just be authentic with yourself, be calm, don't react, and keep yourself balanced and in peace, and just bring it all back to your own heart. And so the last piece of this is to maintain what you have just voiced. So in other words, walk the talk, or practice what you preach. So in other words, so you just want to make sure that when, that boundary gets a little bit disrupted again and out of balance, you just want to act and make sure that you are taking the care that you need, that you are doing what you voiced, that you said that you cannot do, or that you took a break, right? So if you take a break on something, for example, for some amount of time, temporary time, then you just keep your word on that. And that, also, helps you stay accountable and stay, maintenance of your love boundary that you've just created and voiced and maintained. And so just keep those in mind. And it does require practice to do, and it's okay, that we're all just going through so many changes right now with this whole ascension. And I have been, feeling a lot of the energies have been all over the place. It's been heavy at times. It's been really, a cycle of energies. And it could feel at times like this hurricane of different energies, whether they be joy, they be shadow, they be emotional, they be, really, really delicate. So when you do get to those delicate moments, just remember to take that self-care and self-love in yourself. And so you are just so worthy, and you are so loved, and you're supported by so many, your guides, your angels, and everybody's just with you. So just remember to ask for help when you need it. And in my website, or down below in the description, I offer a free gift for those who have gone through the 9 signs of heartbreak. It's a spiritual awakening. It's a guide to support you on the process of the spiritual awakening when it comes to a heartbreak. And because there are so many things that could cause us to really wake up, and this is just one of them that really shakes us to the core when it comes to certain relationships, and that can trigger so many aspects of us that will cause and shift us, out of these patterns that we are now transmuting collectively in this world. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So please subscribe to my video if you haven't already, as I will be sharing some more messages as we are progressing in all of this energetic shifting going on around the world, and providing reminders to you with such a loving message. So just be well, take care of yourself, and much love.